Well, day 19 of the search for two convicted killers who broke out of a prison in upstate New York. The manhunt for the fugitives now expanding into the town of Malone, north of the area where DNA evidence matched to the suspects was found in a hunter's cabin. Residents are receiving automated phone calls warning them of increased police presence today. Let's talk a little bit more about this with Arthur Roderick. He's the former assistant director for investigations at the U.S. Marshals Service. So just about an hour ago, Arthur, the police came out and said that they have 100% assurance, virtually 100% assurance, that these fugitives were in the area. How close do you think we are to getting them?
Well, I think we're very close. I mean, when you look at the timeline of this case, this is day 19. Prior to this DNA evidence being found in the cabin, the last sighting we had was actually in jail. So anytime you can close that loop as to how many days away you are, the better off you're going to be. And I think the key factor is, and we've talked about this from the very beginning of this case, is that we all thought they probably were hunkered down in a cabin somewhere. So that tells me right off the bat that plan A was with Joyce Mitchell, and they really didn't have a plan B, and they just lit out on foot.
I want to talk a little bit about the shotgun that we mentioned in the tease going into the segment. Again, law enforcement speaking about reports that there are shotguns missing. The officer saying that they don't have confirmation that a shotgun was taken, but that these are hunting cabins, and often they may or may not have guns in them, and they're operating under the guise that these men are armed and dangerous. What about weapons?
I mean, that just ups the ante. When you look at the crimes that these individuals had committed, I mean, they're dangerous with a nail gun or a knife. So the ante has been up for law enforcement since the shotguns are missing, and that, I mean, we considered them armed and dangerous to begin with. The fact that they now have rifles obviously ups the situation when we come in contact with them.
And again, these are just reports, but it certainly makes you a little bit more nervous hearing about the seasonal cabins and wondering if more people are headed up into this area because kids are out of school, and this is an area that you can really go out in nature. That's one of the things that law enforcement is dealing with here. A lot of really tough terrain, a lot of rain as well, Arthur, thunderstorms, cell phone coverage in the area is apparently not great. They had to bring in a portable cell phone tower. What are some of the challenges that law enforcement is confronting?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, it's the terrain and the amount of cabins that are up there. And I think the key part to this is, you know, we're coming up, pretty soon it's going to be the 4th of July weekend, and I think a lot of people are going to be heading up to that area to open up their summer homes. And if they come across anything that they think is unusual, please call 911, have law enforcement come out and check it, because I think that there's a great possibility that these individuals are just moving from cabin to cabin and either listening on TV or listening on the radio as to where law enforcement is concentrating their investigative efforts.
David Lee Miller told us that he really believes that this area where we're reporting from is the area of focus just simply by the presence of law enforcement in the area being so dense. Arthur, it's always great to talk to someone like you because most of us only have a point of reference in the movies when it comes to a manhunt like this. And that's what we constantly go back to. What is it like in the movies? What have we seen? And I have two questions for you on that. Why would these criminals still be in the area if they are indeed as smart as everyone's talking about? And what do you think is the most misunderstood perception about manhunts that the public has that you'd like to dispel?
Well, I think number one is you know, there's some frustration on the part of law enforcement. These individuals have been very lucky. This is a very unusual case. We usually end up catching them within 48 hours, 72 hours. So there's frustration on the part of law enforcement. And once that starts happening, you tend to give them a lot more credit, give the criminals a lot more credit. And in this particular case, it shows that we were right on the very first part, that they are hunkered down in some cabin somewhere. Number two, the misperception about law enforcement. I mean, if you look at the movie The Fugitive with Tommy Lee Jones,
exactly.
A lot of that is true, but it's very compacted into a time frame. So this could take an extended period of time just due to the terrain and the fact that there are so many cabins up there.
Oh, it's interesting to watch. And again, clues along the way. Hopefully we're closer, but a big question as to where these guys still are. Arthur, it's great to have your expertise. Thank you so much.